The fact is, this next generation, they're using ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude as the search engine.
TikTok
YouTube. As a search engine. And you know that everyone's thinking this way because they're also doing, like you can download the extension for Chrome of ChatGPT, and it actually becomes part of your search functionality. So, this is a seismic shift in the way things are happening. We haven't seen this level of shift, heck, since the internet was birthed.
Yeah.
By Al Gore.
Yeah, right.
Hey there, welcome to the Dr. Marketing Tips Show. I am Jennifer.
I'm Corey.
And today we're going to talk about the future of search and really the future of healthcare marketing in general.
Yeah, so if you've been paying attention to the news, you may have heard that AI is becoming more or less kind of this new front door to search. It's kind of like what we talked about a long time ago with voice, only a different mechanism to produce a search. So a couple years ago, voice search was sort of this new behemoth. And that took off for sure. But now through AI, search is changing, regardless of whether it's voice or you're typing on an iPhone or a desktop, whatever. And if you have Googled anything in the past couple of weeks, you've probably seen now there's AI summaries at the top. You may have heard that ChatGPT just launched a search engine that's available for free for everybody. There's Perplexity, there's Claude, there's Google Gemini, all these different solutions that are meant to do the same thing. And so what we're seeing is the way that people search is changing, because obviously if you're searching on ChatGPT, that means you're not on Google. And if you're not on Google, you're not seeing Google ads. So there's going to be a seismic shift in not only where this money is coming and going from, but also how you as a practice are going to get in front of your potential patients. And then just in terms of user behavior, how that's going to change too.
Well, and I think that it kind of goes back to, remember what we used to say, like, content is king. And then we were like, well, content is emperor. Like, nothing's more important than content. And I think if you made those investments in content over those years, then you have an advantage right now. Because, if the way that search is now going to work, it's like I go into Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT or whatever, and I say, like, how long will my knee replacement surgery recovery last? And the first thing that's popping up, it's pulling from data from all these websites, and that becomes the snippet. So if you made that investment, then potentially you have a leg up on this new kind of search.
Yeah, like I kind of mentioned, if you've done any sort of searching in the past couple of weeks, you've probably seen these AI summaries. And so what's right underneath an AI summary is the sources that it pulls from. If you've used Perplexity, let me back up. If you haven't used Perplexity, you should.
Get there, because it's great.
It's pretty great.
It's great.
But what you'll find is it will answer your query, it'll give you the summary, and then it'll have a couple of other questions that are related below that. And off to the right, you'll see the sources, and typically it checks anywhere from 8 to 12 different sources. So what it's doing is it's essentially doing the Googling for you, and then pulling in these different answers based on dozens upon dozens of different signals and factors, but things like producing really good content, having domain authority, investing in SEO, all these things that we've been talking about for a long time. That's essentially where those are coming from. And so then, certain practice websites I've seen are being linked as sources for these answers.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think what else has changed, which is a little bit seismic, is that when we used to be thinking about, like, okay, I need to pick a new dermatologist, where do I go? Well, I might have searched on quickly on Google. I might have looked over here at reviews. I might have done this. I might have done that. The new Press Ganey survey that just came out for 2023 says that, like, over 70% of people are starting their search for a new doctor online. Well, guess what? Where we used to browse, now we're moving super fast. We're making decisions in the spur of the moment, and we're able to see front page Google, snippet, reviews, decide, done.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, as much as online reputation and Google reviews are still going to matter, these other companies, because again, every time you use Perplexity or ChatGPT for a search, that means you're not going to Google. And essentially, that's what they're trying to do right now, is just sort of build up some market share and some awareness. So every time you search there, you're obviously not at Google. So by the day, these places are updating what they can do. Like, for example, you could search for the stock price of Apple, let's say, on Perplexity, and it will actually say, sure, let me get that. And it'll.
Would you like the historical data that goes with it and everything else?
And it'll create an interactive chart. And a month ago, it couldn't do that.
Nope.
So when your patient 2 months from now says, who's the best knee doctor? Perplexity and ChatGPT, they're going to have a solution that, and maybe it's just sourced right from Google, we don't know yet, but they're going to have something that comes up and it will source answers for you. And I say all that to say that, again, consumer behavior is changing, and the takeaway is you need to be prepared and have a really strong website and online presence, because even if the destination is changing, the way that the information is being produced is not.
Very good point. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal recently talking about like Google is just for old people. and it really does resonate, because if you start your day or your search by typing in still google.com, right? And then you type in what your search is, you don't realize that it's snippets at the top. But the fact is, this next generation, they're using ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude as the search engine.
TikTok
YouTube. As a search engine. And you know that everyone's thinking this way because they're also doing, like you can download the extension for Chrome of ChatGPT, and it actually becomes part of your search functionality. So, this is a seismic shift in the way things are happening. We haven't seen this level of shift, heck, since the internet was birthed by Al Gore.
Yeah, right.
So I think also what has been changing as we're looking beyond just how search is changing, what also has changed is kind of the way that patients are finding you, or patient expectations.
Yeah, I think, fundamentally the patients still want something, they still want authenticity, they still want relevance.
Well, they want to trust you. They want to trust that what's showing up is right.
Right.
And they want to trust the source.
Yeah, and I think one of the best ways to do this is, we know that what's happening is these search engines are just trying to find answers. And so what they're doing is they're going out to websites to find the answer. So if you are looking for content, you say, I don't know what to write about. You write about the answers. So you have a building full of experts at your practice. Go talk to one of the providers and ask them, the 15 most common things that patients are asking them. Take that answer, write it up, put it on the website. Because if you're doing it right, what's eventually going to happen is then potential patients are going to search for that. Your website will get sourced and kind of rise to the top.
Is AI, and you may not have the answer to this, is AI, what happens to all the videos? Because for years we said, do the videos, get the question and answers, but we haven't transcribed them per se. So if you've only done the videos, do you need to transcribe in order for AI to pick it up?
No, not anymore. So some of the they're called LLMs, some of the large language models like ChatGPT, they are trained on video content as well. So they're scraping anything and everything that they can find, which is an entirely different conversation, because they don't really have the rights to do that. They're essentially just kind of stealing it, more or less. They're borrowing it, I guess, if they're going to cite it. But yeah, so you don't need to have the transcripts, because for the most part, like for example, if you put a video on YouTube, it transcribes it automatically. There's closed captions. You can click a button, then you've got transcripts. So these models can do that.
I think another area where you need to make adjustments from a marketing standpoint is that, look, we've been saying for years, reviews, they certainly matter, and they always have, because they're part of that decision making. But if these bots are going out there and just scraping the web, more and more, reviews are what's going to tie back that authenticity and that trust.
Yeah.
And it may even, when people are saying, who's the best knee doctor near me, it may be pulling the number of reviews that are directly related to your practice or your profile, and using that to help create the information that's going to help give that recommendation.
Well, and I think you're right that people make these decisions at like a breakneck speed, but the trust factors are still the same. Like, in other words, you may say, my knee hurts, I'm going to find the best knee doctor near me, and I'm going to do that on my phone in 6 seconds flat. But I'm still going to look for the one that's 4.9 stars. You know what I mean? Like, that hasn't changed. Just like the place that it's changed, that I'm seeing that information may have changed, but not the actual what I'm looking for, the result I'm looking for. So this trust, we were actually just talking about this before we started recording this episode. If you're a practice or you're trying to get something off the ground and you're charging $500 a month to be a part of this network, but it looks like it costs about $8 a month, well, then there's some dissonance and you're going to have a hard time getting me to pay for that. The trust is currency, essentially, and if I can trust in your brand, your medical practice, the reviews are good, the website is good, the information that I ask for is correct, even if it's fed from ChatGPT or wherever, then I'm likely to make an appointment with you versus this other practice or this other group, whatever, that just doesn't have their stuff together the same way. So that hasn't changed.
No, that hasn't changed. But what has changed is kind of the last thing that I think, like, as we're talking about like the future of these healthcare marketing trends, the thing that has changed is that people are visiting your website more now by their phone than they are from a desktop. And they're starting that search online. And so, making sure that there's strong content so AI can pick it up, making sure that you have a lot of reviews, that makes perfect sense. But then now more than ever, you have to make sure that the touch point, that the user experience is seamless. And we know in healthcare, you have so many different things that you're tying to. A lot of times your systems are duct taped. And that's okay to duct tape a little bit, but we need to make sure that the experience is a completely seamless experience, because if it takes more than a couple clicks on a phone to get that appointment or to get that answer, then you've lost that patient to the next place.
Yeah. I think, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I would say for what we see from our clients is anywhere from 45 to
I think it's
80%
66% now.
Yeah. I was trying to go low end too. I was trying to think of everybody. But yeah, I would say, like 60 to 70% probably traffic is mobile. Some practices, if the demographic is older, it's a little lower. Some if it's younger, it's a little higher. But yeah, it's so once they get there, then there's a whole layer of making sure that it's easy to understand, easy to complete whatever the action is that I'm trying to do. And then, bringing it back to AI, now you can have AI chatbots on the site and all these other things to sort of supplement this experience. I'm sure if you're watching this and you've been to like your EHR company's website, it probably says AI powered somewhere in the first 10 words at this point. So again, it's a buzzword. Everyone's paying attention to it. But the fundamentals are still the same. Now there's just additional capability either as a patient when I'm looking for searches, or as a practice if I'm trying to answer questions for somebody and maybe relieve phone calls from my front desk. There's AI solutions for that. And I think the moral of the story is search is changing. Everything really on the web is changing due to the rise of this AI. But the fundamentals, at least as of today, are still the same. And those trust indicators, those trust factors still make a difference.
Yeah, so it's not so scary, but definitely something that you want to be paying attention to, because the paying attention to it and coming up with, trying new things and coming up with the strategy that's going to work for you today and in the future, that's going to be the difference maker in marketing your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing kind of approach, but I think that just being aware of sort of what's happening is a great first step.
That's right. Yeah. So with that, I'm Jennifer.
I'm Corey.
We'll see you next time on the Dr. Marketing Tips Show. Thanks a bunch.
Bye, guys.
If you want more like this, hit like and subscribe so you'll always be alerted to new episodes when they come out. And if you want information about us, visit us over at insightmg.com. That's insightmg.com. We'll see you on the next episode.